After the Industrial Revolution in Europe, capitalists set up modern factories equipped with advanced machinery to increase income. The exploitation of workers in these factories brought profit to the capitalists, and over time, this gave rise to the class struggle between owners and workers. In Europe and America, it was from this very struggle that labor unions emerged, but in India this history did not exist. Because of the huge population, skilled manpower was always available in India. Traditionally, along with the 12 balutadars who worked, either their own family members, close ones, or people from the same village were available to assist. Therefore, exploitation or oppression of workers in that sense did not exist in India. Before the British came, there was no such thing as workers' struggle in India. I am Bradford, and you are watching Avadhut Chintan. As trade came along with the East India Company, factories also came, and gradually the same kind of conflict between workers and owners that arose in Europe and America also arose in India. In 1870, Shashiprasad Banerjee, a leader of the Brahmo Samaj, established an organization called the Working Men's Club in Calcutta and published the first labor magazine called Shramjeevi Bharat. In 1884, Narayan Lokhande, known as the father of the modern labor union movement, organized workers in Mumbai. The description of the labor sector in modern India can be divided into three parts. The first is the period of leftist organizations that, under the pretext of class struggle, worked with the aim of spreading communist ideology in the labor sector. The second is the period of growth of organizations led by Congress leaders, who, under the cover of the ruling Congress, and at times with the backing of the government, bent laws to lead workers and, in return for their votes, ensured their continuous hold on power. The third is the period of the influence of the Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh, which worked on the belief that factory owners and workers are not enemies but complementary to each other, that the welfare of both lies in mutual cooperation, that the interests of the nation and society are above the interests of both factory owners and workers, and therefore no one should blackmail the other. Instead, efforts should be made to ensure that both sides receive their rightful due. This period is marked by protecting workers' interests and, when necessary, confronting the government for the sake of labor welfare. After gaining first-hand experience for many years in the communist ideology-based labor unions, and studying their working methods, aims, policies, constitutions, and other aspects, senior Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh volunteer Dattopant Thengadi founded the Bharatiya Mazdoor Sangh on 23 July 1955, coinciding with the birth anniversary of Lokmanya Bal Gangadhar Tilak. At that time, only 35 workers from different states were present. From this beginning, BMS has grown to become not only India's but also the world's largest labor union. Technically, the labor union in communist China is even larger than BMS. However, since it is entirely controlled by the Chinese government and has no freedom to make independent decisions regarding workers, it only functions according to government dictates. Therefore, the labor union in China cannot truly be considered a genuine labor union in the real sense. At the time of the establishment of BMS, Congress governments were in power at the center and in many states of India. In states like Bengal, Kerala, and Tripura, the communists had dominance. Because of political backing, the Congress-led Intuk and the communist unions Situ and Ituk were not only strong, but had also become arrogant and corrupt. Many times their only agenda was to threaten owners with bans, strikes, blackmail them, and earn money. Along with this, during negotiations, they often colluded with owners, took money from them, and forced workers to accept agreements with lower wages. In this way, most of these unions became the grazing grounds of the top leaders of the unions and the influential leaders of the respective political parties. Through these labor unions, the respective parties earned massive amounts of money. As a result, they were never able to implement policies that truly favored or benefited the workers. Ultimately, it was the workers who suffered. The textile mill strike in Mumbai stands as one of the biggest examples of this. At the time of the establishment of BMS and even afterward, except for 1 or 2 states as rare exceptions, there was no policy from the central government or any state government that supported BMS. Not only that, but BMS workers also had to continuously face attacks, beatings, and intimidation from the rowdy leaders present in the labor unions of the Congress and the Communists. Because of different labor laws, many times even the owners were helplessly forced to negotiate only with the Congress or Communist labor unions. Since Congress or Communist unions had already received recognition as the approved unions, the owners were compelled to negotiate only with them. These labor unions benefited from this. By creating a law like the Bombay Industrial Relations Act, Congress had even divided many government organizations between themselves and the Communists. Not only that, but under this law they were given complete authority over negotiations. These rights were so extreme that even if 100% of the workers did not agree with those negotiations and wanted to become members of another union and renegotiate, this law prohibited them from doing so. In such extremely adverse circumstances, establishing, expanding, and making BMS not only the largest labor union in India, but also in the world, was the Herculean task accomplished by Dattopant Thengadi and his colleagues. This must be called one of the greatest miracles of the 20th century. Historians celebrate May 1st as Labor Day, marking it as a symbol of the world's first movement by Chicago workers demanding an 8-hour workday. But they deliberately ignore the fact that 24 years before that incident, in April-May 1862, around 1,200 railway workers in Howrah had gone on strike with the very same demand. Similarly, the Indian media spreads the illusion that the largest labor unions in India are those run by the Communists or Congress. Today, under the presidency of Hiranmani Pandya and the leadership of General Secretary Ravindra Himte, BMS is working in the labor sector. In every state of India, in every region and sector, whether it is the government-owned public sector or private sector, whether it is the production sector or service sector, whether organized or unorganized, BMS is leaving its mark as a recognized labor union. In lakhs of factories, institutions, banks, and government industries, it is literally leading crores of workers and is the only true national labor union working in the labor sector, based on the ideology of the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh. While the Communist and Congress labor unions are falling apart, BMS is steadily growing, expanding, and becoming popular like the ever-rising moon. If you enjoyed the video, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Do not forget to press the bell icon, and see you soon.